How would you characterize your leadership style? Well, I would say my leadership style is very relationship oriented. I try and adapt myself to the individual personalities and characteristics of my individual followers. I think there are certain aspects that a leader can take to address a group as a whole, but to be an effective leader, it's very vital, I would say, to identify the individual traits of your followers and try and adapt and motivate them on an individual basis while at the same time going ahead and bringing together, addressing the group.
So this is a hard question for me, and I do think it's situational for me. I try to be a servant leader as much as I possibly can, and I really try to think others first. So I really do care about the success and the growth of my team, and I love watching them advance and succeed.
I would say I am more of a relationship-oriented leader as opposed to a task-oriented one. In essence, this is because I feel from a follower perspective, it's easier to perform a task for a leader who you have a good social relationship to, as opposed to one who's just absorbed with just getting the job done no matter how it has to get done. That's the kind of person I feel like I would only have to tolerate for the shift I'm working, just not have to think about outside of work. Having a good social relationship with your leader, I feel you get a better work environment out of it. Most people, let's be honest, I don't think enjoy going to their job. So by having a leader that is actively seeking a good social relationship with their followers, it makes it a little bit better from a follower perspective.
In my line of work, I am frequently placed in a wide variety of situations throughout any given day, and each situation requires a different style of leadership.
And there's a lot of values that a leader needs. I think one of the most important is just really that thinking others first. I mentioned the servant leadership earlier, but being a leader really does mean that you're selfless. Another one is integrity. Nobody's going to want to follow a leader that has poor values or work ethic or morale. I do think that leaders also need to be competent. They need to have the ability to do the work somewhat themselves. Obviously, their teams are going to be more of those subject matter experts, but the leader needs to be able to provide some guidance for them. Another one I think is humility. Just being modest and humble and being able to own your mistakes, knowing that you're not perfect and making that known, I think is really important. Acknowledging those limitations and really seeking advice from others when you've hit your limitations and asking for advice.
What values do I consider to be vital to a successful leadership? Some of which I will plagiarize from the United States Marine Corps. Honor, which includes integrity, strong ethical resolve, pride, courage, which is the ability to complete the task in the face of overwhelming odds, commitment, giving the team all that you've got all of the time because it's what's best for the team. And then I added on understanding. Through the years, I've just come to see this as a necessity in any interaction. And it's the ability to see things from others' perspectives, or the ability to adapt one's point of view if a better point of view is presented by one of the team members.
Always strive to do better. Even if you think, okay, I'm at the peak of my performance, I can't do any better. 9 times out of 10, you can. So you need to be able to kind of dig in deep into yourself and figure out, okay, what are my potential shortcomings? How can I overcome this?
So I've been really fortunate and always worked with highly motivated teams, but I think the number one motivator really is empowerment and giving those people something they can own and run with and feeling valued in what they do. I also think that setting clear goals and that vision for them is a motivator. It's hard to be motivated on something where you don't know where you're going or why you're doing something.
Based on the parameters of my job, I tend to find myself in a variety of different situations on any given day that require me to find different means of motivating everyone towards a common goal. Where emotional understanding might sway one person's vote, a dictatorship style approach might sway another's. I do my best to adapt to any given situation that I enter by simply giving the follower a moment or two to speak about their view on a subject. From that few minutes of conversation, I can generally ascertain a path that will inspire that person towards our common goal.
So I think that I'm a very driven individual. I do reach for the stars and tend to bring people along with me. I think I also have an ability to build strong teams. So I am very perceptive of others and how they're feeling. I'm able to adapt to different personalities and really try to get them engaged. And I think I'm also humble. So I'm much harder on myself than anyone else ever could be. And I think even when I accepted this position, I was doubting myself. And just remaining humble, and nobody wants to work for somebody that's arrogant. So just keeping that in mind and being cognizant of how I got here and really building those relationships.
And also, it's always good to seek out feedback. Most businesses will conduct reviews just to kind of see, here's what you're doing well and here's what you need to improve upon. But you shouldn't just rely on those. As a leader, every now and then I feel it's good to kind of pull some of your followers aside and say, hi, how am I doing with this? And as a follower, how do you feel I should change some of my leadership style?
As a leader, I constantly try to educate myself in as many different disciplines as possible. My work offers on-the-job training and very specific things that relate only to my job. Obviously, I take each of these opportunities whenever possible, but narrowing a scope of one's understanding, in my opinion, is counterproductive. A broad understanding of a multitude of disciplines with that overly developed job-specific aspect ensure that you have infinite educational backgrounds to draw from in times of improvement and adaptational needs.
I think there's going to be many challenges in the next couple of years in leading the team. One of them for me personally is going to be time management. I'm used to having a small team and managing that way. Right now I am wearing multiple hats, so my main priority has been the team, but I'm also getting pulled in different directions. My peers are now across the organization instead of within the same team, so kind of managing through that landscape has been difficult. One of the biggest ones I think really is going to be making decisions that is not well liked by everyone and having the courage to do it anyway. There are things that will be best for the team moving forward, and they're always not going to be popular. So really just having that courage to make those decisions and sticking by them.